Today I'm going to be drawing the front sprite of a Pokemon trainer from scratch. The first thing that I like to do is get an idea of the pose I'd like the trainer to have. Are they going to be standing, sitting, crouching? Are they going to have their arms folded or on their hips? Maybe they're holding something or doing some sort of other pose or playing a sport. I just sort of like to get the general idea of the pose that I'm going for. The next thing that I like to do is look through all of the Pokemon sprites that I already have pre-made and see if any of them are similar to the pose that I thought of. You can look at the sprites that already come with essentials, or the ones that come from other fan games such as Pokemon Insurgents, Pokemon Uranium, or Pokemon Reborn, or even just look at Google Images, Pinterest, or DeviantArt for other Pokemon trainer sprite sets that have already been made. So let me go ahead and just do a quick sketch of what I want my character to look like. And there you have it. I have a pretty good idea now of the kind of pose that I want my character to have, the kind of clothes that I want them to be wearing, and the kind of hairstyle that I want. Now I'm going to go through and look at the other sprites to see if there's anything similar to my design. I really like the way that this Brendan sprite is posed, although it's flipped from my character's pose, so I'll probably use that for the base template. I also really like the way this female trainer's arms are posed, so I'll probably use that as well. So now I'm going to open up my drawing program, Paintnet, and create a sort of Frankenstein to use as a template for my trainer. First I'm going to resize it to 50% so that I'm drawing 1 pixel at a time. Next, I'm going to flip both of the characters on the horizontal axis so that they more closely resemble the pose that I drew. Now, I'm going to copy the arms off of the female trainer and place them onto Brendan, then erase Brendan's arms. This way, the base that I'm using is a little closer to the pose that I want my character to have. I'm going to turn down the opacity on this base template that I made and start drawing my character over it, starting with the head and working my way down. Okay, so now as you can see, I've gotten my character sprite just about finished. At the moment though, it still looks pretty amateurish. That's because I didn't put in any shadows or highlights yet. It really makes a big difference and goes a long way towards making your character stand out and look a little more professional when you go ahead and take the time to put in those shadows and highlights. So for right now, I'm going to imagine that the sun is in the upper left-hand corner of the screen and is casting some highlights and shadows on my character, and just go from there. In addition to adding shadows and highlights on the character, I'd also recommend making the borders on the shadow side just a little bit darker. Keep playing around with the shadows and highlights until they look right. If something doesn't look quite right, come back to it and keep playing with it until you get it the way you want it. You can also use this sort of checkered pattern to make a sort of mid-range between the shadows and the highlights. Now take a look at the versions with the shadows and highlights versus without it. It really does make a big difference. Before you save your character, don't forget to scale it back up to size so that it's not too small. So let's go ahead and see how our character looks in our game. I'm pretty happy with the way this character looks right now. The only thing I might do is go back and mute the colors a little bit. They're a little too bright, especially that light blue. You always want to try and make sure that your colors aren't at full saturation, like exactly red or exactly yellow, because it looks a little too bright and amateurish. Let me know in the comments below which video you'd like to see next, and I'll try to get to it a little sooner this time. That's all for now, and I'll see you next time.